One guy that's only a year and a half younger than him, than Jose Calderon.
Yeah, 35. Happy birthday Calderon the other day.
Younger coaches with this type of roster.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense. I think the voice and the choice of Luke Walton as a younger player, 4 years out from his own playing days, stepping in to connect and maybe interact with these young talented players on a level that is easier for them to receive.
Well, Rick,
we'll find out here from Mr. Kupchak.
Yeah, your former boss, the man who made the decision to bring in Luke Walton, Mitch Kupchak, the general manager, joining us here on NBA TV's Real Training Camp Lakers show. Mitch, first and foremost, thanks for having us here. This is a really cool opportunity for our viewers to get a look inside of practice and listen to how different practice sounds now from it used to sound with the Lakers.
Yeah, it's different. We clearly have a lot of young players. Our core is a group of young players, and we have a completely new staff. There's a different feel to practice. You can hear the music. They just turned it down, but they play music very loud. There's a lot of energy in the building. We've added a couple of veterans for stability, hopefully, and some leadership in the locker room. So, we have a good mix of players. We need to show and make some progress this year in terms of wins, but there is a good energy, and our future, I believe, is in our young players.
I would agree with you in the future of the organization as those young players evolve into what you hope is stars in this league that can return the Lakers to the glory days. You brought in two veterans, as you mentioned, though. Timothy Mozgov, Luol Deng. Your thought process through free agency as they were filling, obviously, holes that you felt this team needed.
Well, we did need size, and Luke was involved in the process. He doesn't make those kinds of decisions, and he didn't get to us until after the Warriors, unfortunately lost that Game 7. So we didn't have as much time as we'd like. But I spoke to him during the playoffs quite a bit, and then when he finally got in, we spent a lot of time together looking at our board. So what we did starting July 1st at 12:01 is we had our targets picked out. Of course, the superstars, we wanted to make a run and be as powerful as we possibly could, but we knew we needed size, and Brian Shaw coached Timothy in Denver, knew him very well, so he became, our quick target, and then, once again, we needed more leadership in the locker room, and that led us to Luol Deng.
Mitch, when you have drafted or signed a player last few years, or maybe exchanged this year, beyond just their skill set or position that you may need to fill, is there a certain number of boxes that you're looking to check for a player that he has on and maybe off the court as well?
Of course. You'd love to have a guy with high character, that's in his, mid-20s, that's been an all-star, and that's going to be the perfect player. They're far and few between to try to get a player like that. So you do check, the character box and his ability to play and his age and so forth and so on. A lot of times you do have to make compromises, and you can't get every box checked the way you want the box checked. And that's just the way it is in this league. At 12:01, it's a very competitive free agent market. And players, make decisions based on financial information, where they want to go, where they want to play, their chance to win right away. So it doesn't always go the way you want it to go. But yes, we have boxes we check out, and we're comfortable and happy with the players we got this summer. And another player you didn't mention is Jose Calderon. I think he's going to be a big part of our, veteran in the locker room, and I think he has a couple of years left to play as well.
You speak of checking boxes, and you also brought in Luke, a new coach, a new coaching staff. What were those boxes for you when it came to making a shift from Byron Scott and heading in a new direction?
Well, Byron was dealt a very difficult, hand. Our team was kind of in a spot where, we couldn't progress and get better quickly. And unfortunately, Kobe, his last 3 years, was injured each year, and then he decided, midway through his last year to make a retirement. So it was a tough situation. Byron is a very, very good coach. And I think he'll be coaching again in this league. Luke was just a different look. He certainly is known by us. We drafted him. He worked for our D-League team for a year. And, of course, he had great success as an assistant and then for those 40 games as a head coach up in Golden State. We liked the way they played. And we just felt at that moment, with all the factors we just talked about, Kobe's retiring, all the young players coming in, it was just a feel that this is something that we wanted to go and make a change by doing.
Do you feel with doing that, you've kind of reset your clock? Because as you've addressed many times, especially this week, well documented, Jim Bush's promise of a 3-year being competitive, that's going to come to an end here at the end of this season. Do you have to restart the clock because of all that's gone on in the last few months?
The way I look at this team is we're trying to build something that we can sustain, and that's going to take some time. We have financial flexibility. We were fortunate to some degree with the lottery selections the last couple of years. We could have pulled up and got a number that put us out of the lottery. And we were not a good team. So we deserved the number 7 pick with Julius and the number 2 pick, with D'Angelo. And, so we have a young group that it's going to take some time. We've added some veterans, hoping that we can move the process along and get better quicker than you normally would. But it is a young group. And the one player I did mention was Brandon. I think he's going to be an excellent player. But you'll see, flashes of brilliance this year. But at 19 years old, it's just going to take some time. So that's my take on this. It's just to build something that's going to have a lot of assets that's sustainable going forward. And each year and each month of this season get better and better and better. How many games we're going to win, I don't know. This is a very competitive league. The West 2 years ago is different than the West today, and the West next year is going to be different than the West this year. So, we can't control all the variables when you're putting a team together. You may have a great team in the West and still not make the playoffs. So we can't control those things. So we're going to, control what we can, which is nurture our young players, make sure they get better, make sure they develop, and make sure that our veterans help us win some games and make progress as the years and as the season goes on.
Mitch, one of the things I recall from being a young player in this league was the amount of pressure that the league brings to you as an individual. And then there's the pressure that your teammates put on you, your coaching staff puts on you. How do you balance that with this group of young men? Because some of them got a taste of losing for the first time. That's a pressure-filled environment, and rebounding from that. As they grow, this still is a business. They still are being paid a ton of money to do a job, and we're judged by the wins. So without any number attached to how many wins, what makes this a contending team or improving team based on last year's 17 wins?
Well, we think we've improved our talent level, throughout the roster. First of all, our younger players are a year older, and they're going to be better because they work at their game. Julius Randle, I don't have the roster in front of me, so I hesitate to start mentioning names because I'm going to miss somebody. Okay, that always happens. But Julius, and he's not the only one, he came into the gym twice a day, every day this year during the off season. So, our young players, they work at their game. They have great pride in their game. Sometimes I don't know how they do deal with the pressure. The world that they're in today, with the scrutiny and, everything being instantaneous that can go viral in 3 seconds, they can't go anywhere. Everybody's got a cell phone with a camera. So sometimes I wonder how they do it compared to how you did it and how I did it. It's a totally different world. I think the simple answer is it's just something that they've grown up in and they're used to.
Have you heard from Kobe? Is he going to stop by practice anytime soon?
Yes, we have an invitation out to him. He's busy. He and I text back and forth. I think the last time we communicated was last week, and we invited him out to a practice. Jamal Wilkes is here today, right behind me, and every year we try to invite the guys in that have their name on the wall at our practice facility. And I know Jerry West is going to come by. I know Elgin Baylor is going to come by. Kareem is going to come by, and Jamal came by. Magic's going to come by. So Kobe has indicated, based on his schedule, that yes, he would. My guess is he probably wants to get away for a year, but we'll get him back.
Has he given you any indication about being involved with the organization?
And I mean, guys like Kobe, they don't become the assistant general managers, and I don't even think they become general managers. I think guys like him, they buy teams. So, if I ever asked him to come in and work with a young player, he would certainly do it. And like I said, he's going to come to practice. And if we ever had an issue, where I felt Kobe or we felt Kobe can help us, he would be the first person, Mitch, whatever you say. Beyond that, I'm not aware of anything, that's been discussed. And my understanding is Kobe's up early, he's working out, and he's working on his projects. And Rick, you may know more than me, but he's staying very busy. He's not the kind of guy, that takes a year off and does nothing.
No. Hey, Mitch, what is it about Kobe? I mean, we obviously said goodbye, and we're going to move on shortly here. But what do you think these young players are going to miss about him that they may not be aware that they're going to miss?
The last couple of years were very difficult for our team because they really didn't get Kobe like we know Kobe. The last 3 years he had a major injury, and of course last year was his retirement year. So they got to spend time with Kobe at the end of his career, and that's completely different than spending time with Kobe, as you know, at the beginning or at the middle. But just being around him, for the limited time that they were, his focus, his competitive nature, how hard he works, the different generations. So I think that would be something that a young player, and like most young people, they're not going to appreciate the year or two they spent with him until 5 or 10 years from now, and they look back on it.
Mitch, I look at some of the top draft picks that have come through the Laker organization: Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, all Hall of Famers. They were the top, 1 or 2 pick in the first round of the draft. You have D'Angelo Russell and Brandon Ingram. How long is it before we discover their true potential?
Well, I don't want to go through every player on the roster, but you brought up 2 players, and I think they're both gifted players. Jerry West used a description once about somebody gets a little gold dust sprinkled on them, and I think both those players, have a little gold dust that was sprinkled on them from the basketball gods. Whether or not, they can become what we all hope they become, that's up to them. That's maturing, that's working on the court, in the weight room, and it's going to take some time. When you're 19 years old, you can't rush the process. But I think they want to be great players. And I think both those players, being drafted number 2, they should be able to have a shot at least being a great player if we know what we're doing at all. And I don't think anybody would say that both those players don't have a chance to be great players.
Without rushing the process, though, is it a 3-year window in this league for a young player that comes in a rookie contract before you really have? I think it's important that they know what the timeline is on these things, because sometimes you come in, you come in as a rookie and you think I have 5 years to find my way. Well,
they want it now.
Okay, as long as they want it.
Okay,
okay.
They want it now, but they can't. It's not possible. Just young people, you can't get it all now, and when you actually are in position to have it all, you're in your late 20s, or almost 30 or 31, and you're almost going to lose it, and you start losing it in a year or two. And that's how it works in this business. You get better and better and better. You reach your peak. Younger players today would probably reach it when they're 24 or 25. Back when we played, it was probably 28 or 29. So it's a process, and I know they want it. I know they want it now. It's not going to happen overnight. And they're not the only 2. I think we have a couple other players that are young that have a chance also. But being drafted number 2, it has to be discussed. You can't hide from the fact that, hey, Brandon Ingram and D'Angelo Russell, let's talk about them, and can they be special? When you're drafted number 2, there should be expectations.
I didn't see you guys do your secret UNC handshake yet.
I was just going to ask him if he talked to my Coach K about Brandon Ingram, what that conversation was like.
You drafted a lot of Duke guys recently,
yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
And everybody that I call Coach K about, they're all great kids. They're all going to be great players. They all work hard. So I do call him every year, and when he starts to talk, I'm listening, but I do move the phone away a little bit because I know exactly what he's going to say.
Well, Mitch, we appreciate it, and we understand your playlist is coming up here soon. Your personal one that you picked out.
You're setting the playlist for the guys?
My playlist? Oh.
Your music playlist.
Do you get a day?
Well, my playlist is
you're a future guy.
Is a little
you?
dated.
Yeah, you're a future guy.
It's a little dated. Rolling Stones.
Hey, you going out to Palm Springs?
Springsteen. That's about it for me.
Palm Springs next weekend.
What's in Palm Springs?
Old Cella.
Oh, the Ocella Film Festival.
Old Cella.
Oh, Old Cella. Yeah, I fit the
Rolling
bill.
Stones, Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I fit the
The
bill.
Who.
The Beatles. Yeah, you got it.
Mitch, thank you so much for all the time. We really appreciate you inviting us into training camp today.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Mitch.
It's great.
Couple of Tar Heels, Mitch Kupchak, Rick Fox, coming back with more of Real Training Camp from just this gorgeous facility here in Santa Barbara. We'll hear from the players and hear how Luke Walton's instructing day 4 of training camp.